Today, we will be covering the topic on social isolation. Our learning objectives are as follow. We hope that at the end of the lesson, you will be able to differentiate between loneliness and social isolation, identify factors putting older adults at a higher risk of social isolation, understand the impacts and consequences of social isolation, know how to meaningfully engage elderly at home and in the community, understand the concept of assets-based community development, reflect on social isolation concepts and apply them to your own family and elderly. Before we begin, let me ask a question. What does a typical day in your life look like pre-COVID, and how has your lifestyle changed since then? Do spend some time thinking about it. You may pause the video if necessary. Now, think back to the days of circuit breaker. How has things changed for you during circuit breaker? Were you forced to work or study from home? And how did you feel when you were cooped up at home for a prolonged period of time? Lastly, how did you feel when you couldn't hang out with your friends and family due to safe distancing measures, especially during festive periods, not being able to celebrate as per normal as compared to previous years? At some point in time, we may have felt frustrated, restless, and upset at the situation. We may also feel that there is a lack of physical social interactions. But what if I were to say that what we have gone through during the 6 weeks of circuit breaker may have been the norm for this elderly for the past few months or even years? Social isolation is real, and it is affecting more people than we think it is, especially our older generation, as they are not as tech savvy as us. Moving on, I'll be explaining more about social isolation and loneliness. This might seem like a very wordy and complicated slide, but not to worry, we will go through it together. This slide seeks to explain what social isolation and loneliness is, and its relation to each other. As we can see from the legend at the bottom, the orange bubble represents an objective or an observable measure, while the blue bubble represents a subjective or a self-reported measure. For social isolation, it refers to a quantitatively diminished social network, which means that the number of social networks that a person has is very few. This can be due to physical separation, like living alone, or having very few people to connect with. On the other hand, loneliness is a subjective and distressing experience where one perceives a gap between one's desire for social connection and actual experiences of it. As we can see from the diagram of how social isolation links to loneliness, it explains that while social isolation can increase the risk of loneliness, more social interaction or social contact does not necessarily reduce loneliness. The quality of social relations, as well as how people feel about those connections, are also important. Because one can have many social interactions, but if the quality of these interactions are perceived to be inferior, they may still experience loneliness. So, who is at risk? Those living alone? Those who are unemployed? People with physical disabilities, as they may have trouble heading out, and staying home may be an easier option. Lastly, the loss of a loved one. This can cause one to experience deep grief and may increase their risk of depression and social isolation. Now, I will go on to share about the impact of social isolation. Social isolation has many detrimental effects on an individual. It can cause poor sleep quality, poor cardiovascular function, cognitive decline and depression. It can also cause a weakened immune system, and in some, it may cause anxiety. Before we go on, take a moment to reflect. Do you stay with your grandparents, and who takes care of them? Is there anyone you know of who may be socially isolated? How can we meaningfully engage people who are socially isolated? Firstly, we can find out what are some activities the elderly enjoy doing. Secondly, we can connect them to community resources such as Lions Befrienders, Community Center, or the Senior Activity Center near them. Usually, there are activities and programs lined up for the elderly. And for those elderly who are able, we can also create opportunities for them to be involved in meaningful social activities. Moving on, I would like to introduce one approach to tackle social isolation, and that would be the asset-based community development methodology. This is a strength and asset-based approach to community development. In essence, this approach recognizes that each community has its unique set of assets and resources that can be utilized for community development. Here are the different categories of assets and resources. The first category is individuals. Individuals are part of the community, and each unique individual has something to bring to the table. Next, we have associations. As the name suggests, associations are a group of people with common interests or goals. The next category is institutions. These include government agencies, private businesses, schools, etc. We also have built or natural environments. These include land, building, public and green spaces. Lastly, we have local economy or exchanges. These refer to the connections formed within the community. To help you understand this concept better, here is an example of how we can apply this to our volunteering journey. In the middle, it represents the elderly community that we are serving. Individuals like you and me are volunteering in a community. All of us come from different backgrounds and possess different skill sets. Some of these elderly may also be connected to different associations like Lions Befrienders or the senior activity centers near them. This group of elderly are those from the SGH catchment area, and we are working with SingHealth as well as Central Singapore Community Development Council to serve this underprivileged elderly. The built or natural environment refers to amenities near the elderly, such as wet market, parks or green spaces, and exercise corners. Local economy or exchanges refers to any interactions made within the community. It can be connections with neighbors, caregivers, or volunteers. In conclusion, social isolation has detrimental effects on an individual's health, and steps can be taken to help improve social connectivity. Asset-based community development is one approach that can be used to tackle social isolation. To end, here are some reflection questions that you can spend some time thinking about. Thank you for your attention, and we hope that you have learned something from this lecture. To consolidate your knowledge, please scan the QR code and attempt the quiz. Alternatively, you can access the quiz using the link shown in the slide. Once again, thank you for your attention, and we hope that you have learned something from this lecture.